Welcome to my channel, where I engage my guests in Life Matters conversations, where they share their passions and creativity, explore with us, grow, tune in, connect, and learn from these trailblazers. This is where we share the real, raw, authentic stories of failures and successes. Enjoy the journey. Okay, so here we are. Today I have Anissa Zekkouti with me. She's from France, international health coach, holistic nutrition expert, naturopathic doctor, and yoga teacher. She's also founder of the Wake Up Balance holistic coaching method, and she helps high-performing business professionals transform their health and energy into their most valuable life and business assets through a personalized science-backed root cause approach designed around each individual's unique biology, lifestyle, and demands. And I've connected with her before, and I was so captivated by her story that I had to invite her here today to tell us about her personal journey.
Hi,
So, hi, Anissa. Great to have you again.
thank you. Thank you. That's a pleasure to be with you, Robert. So I'm really thrilled about this conversation.
Yeah, well, we've had a couple of conversations, and they're always so great, and we have so much more to share with each other. And I'm even enthusiastic of collaborating with you in the nearby future as well.
Yeah, we'll make that happen for sure.
Yeah. So I'm curious, to backtrack again, you had told me a story, and I think this story is just really, really amazing, and I would love you to tell me again, what was that pivotal moment in your life?
Yeah, actually, I would say that I was just 19 and I had just earned my degree as an English teacher in France. So that was an amazing new career ahead. And I had a car crash, and the firemen they just told me to have like a check to just check that everything was okay. And then they announced me that I had a pancreatic tumor. I was just 19 and I was devastated. So that was a terrible back then, but it was a blessing in disguise today. Yeah.
But did you realize it then? A blessing in disguise? I don't think so, right?
Absolutely not. I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I remember I spent a whole day just sitting in a corner of my room and not being able to speak to anyone, not telling anything about it to my family. I had, this wave of anxiety and you have to experience it to really understand how it feels, in a second it's just like you've got nothing. It's like your entire life is disappearing and you've left you is nothing, really nothing. And I don't know how to explain because it's quite weird, the sensation of you've got everything and then just a second later you've got an announcement and there's nothing left. Like you don't know about tomorrow, you don't know about are you going to be on earth in a week's time, in 2 weeks time. And yes, it was, I don't have the words for it. It was like, of course a blessing is this guys is today, but back then I didn't know what to do. And of course I took the time to find a kind of way to manage my emotions and speak to my mom. And she advised me to go and to see another doctor. to have another diagnosis and to be sure that there were no mistake. And of course, I had this pancreatic tumor, so I went through a surgery. And that was the moment when I decided it was time for me to understand what happened to me. Because back then, I didn't know a thing about nutrition, health, or holistic living. But I was convinced that if I was sick, it was for a reason. And I was sure that it was because of the way I was living as a young adult that was overly stressed, a perfectionist, doing too much, thinking way too much, and not very in not a very positive way, you know. I was, yes, overwhelmed by everything, family, personal issues, and
At 19. At
yeah,
19.
I was also very scared of not being enough, you know. I had this sensation of imposter syndrome. Even in my studies, I was studying English and I had earned my degree. It was like it was never enough for me. So, of course, I had a pancreatic tumor because of who I was and what I've been doing for years.
So at an early age, you'd already been pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Where did the perfectionist come in to play? What made you a perfectionist?
Actually, I remember that even when I was 7, 8 years old, I was like really into reading and learning, and I really wanted to grow, you know, as a really young person. But I had this in me, like it was part of my personality, and I always wanted to have like better marks, doing better at school, and just like success was a kind of obsession for me. So at some point,
Amazing.
you know,
Amazing. I mean, on the one hand, this is, bad news, but on the other hand, at such young age, and then having the impulse of trying to figure out, what the root cause of it could be at that young age, because most people don't think in those terms whatsoever, you know?
yes, sometimes I feel it was kind of, you know, that's why I choose the word wake up call for my company, because I really felt that it was kind of miracle, you know. I don't know how it happened, but I was just like, it's time for me to find a way to understand what happened to me. Otherwise, I cannot go ahead with my life and I cannot move on if I don't understand. So the first thing I went was like, you know, I asked the doctors, what's the reason? What happened? I'm just 19, you know, and they were like, you know, this is most of the time, this is a sickness that old people have, not young people. But we cannot explain why. So just do the surgery and move on. But for me, it was like if I was not able to understand, I was completely stuck, you know, in a place where I didn't want to be. So the only solution was to understand.
Right, right. Amazing. And how long did it take? I mean, even after the operation, uh, what what were the things that you did? Did you go on chemo? Did you follow their protocols?
Actually, when they did the surgery, everything was fine. So I had no treatments, and I don't know if I would have accepted the treatments anyway, but I didn't have to ask myself the question back then because they did the surgery and they told me you're okay. Just make sure that you have exams every year, and that's it. So.
Okay,
I was lucky about, you know, not having any treatments. And I was sure that in a way, it was a question of lifestyle, a question of emotions, a question of anxiety, because you know,
right.
even if you don't know everything about yourself, we still have this, you know, capacity to know when we are going too far, when we are overdoing things. We know it, but we don't want to accept sometimes.
Yeah, that's so true. That's what I find with high achievers
Mhm.
when they take too much on their plate and they're running up against the wall, but can't admit it because the deep inside they have this sense of failure, and so asking for help would mean not being good enough, and the perfectionists that they
Yeah.
are. Amazing, amazing. Um, and so you went on to go into what? Into following your path toward holistic healing?
Yeah, so to me it was not about, I didn't have any idea about holistic medicine, to be honest. I didn't know it even exists, but I had heard about naturopathy in France, and I wanted to go into naturopathy to understand the root cause of the sickness, the disease, how people get sick, how do you create a disease inside of your body. And so I started with a naturopathic school in France, and it was a game changer for me because I really realized that everything happening inside of you is the result of your thoughts, the result of your actions. And I really understood that the body is capable of going back to balance. You can bring your body back to balance. This is what we call homeostasis. But for the body to be able to go back to balance, you need to give it the right tools, the right food, the right environment. And this is what I learned. And from there, I started changing a lot of things. And the first thing that I changed was, overtraining. Because I've been training, like fitness training, um, like crazy every day, 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. And I believe it was good. I believe it was healthy. I was young and I was all about fitness. And even for food, what I was doing was not healthy because I was removing all the fats from my diet. And it was completely paradoxical because at the same time, I was so anxious that I was eating a lot of like junk food, not junk food, but cakes, these kind of things, pastries, and so my food was completely unhealthy and imbalanced, but I believed it was good because there was no fat in it. So it
Right,
was full of false belief, of stereotypes, and because back then I remember that everything I learned, being like 18, 19 years old, was magazines for women. And they were always talking about dieting, about removing fats, about, doing a lot of physical activity, but they were not explaining how to do it. So I
right.
believe that it
Right.
was like, going for 1 hour, 2 hours a day is great. I'm just building a body for me, but it was just the contrary.
Yeah. It's interesting, really interesting that you're saying that, uh, because I see that with top athletes, and you can see that with soccer players. They've been training and training and training and diligently working on their skills. And once they stop after a career of, professional sports, a lot of them, they fall into a deep, deep hole of depression.
Yeah.
And, because they've been so under pressure of performing and being the best at their game, then all of a sudden they go to the other extremity where they all of a sudden become really fat and fall into depression, alcohol problems, drug abuse, you name it. So I've also, by the way, that's interesting, worked with quite some musicians, top musicians, a violinist, a saxophone player, a piano player, and they reach like this point where they feel they can't go any further. And they're like, oh, I'm just not good enough. And so they push over that threshold, which is actually a warning, you need to stop and slow down.
Yeah.
They want to achieve more and get better. So they push through that threshold. And lo and behold, after a while, their whole nervous system is completely wrecked.
Yeah.
And they can't play anymore because their hands aren't. functioning anymore because the nervous system is just overexerted.
Absolutely. And this is something I experienced myself in a way because, the issue was my mental construction. The fact that I believed that everything I was doing was not enough. Even when the grades were good, even when the trainings were good, it was a problem of, not being satisfied with anything and just like seeing yourself as not enough,
No,
not not eating well enough, not training well enough, not studying,
it's
enough.
never
Like,
good. It's never good enough, and it's never enough.
and
Yeah, yeah,
there are so many people today that go through this as well. Women are really like struggling a lot with this feeling of not being enough, and I think it's the same for men, of course. But from what I see in the people that I coach today, I've got a lot of women, and I see that they are really struggling with this part of their, of themselves that tells them that you're not doing enough, you should train more, you should eat in a better way, and so on and so on. Then you create a vicious circle of destroying yourself from the inside out. So there's no way it cannot work. It's not just about eating healthy. Even if you know completely, even if you're 100% sure of what you're doing, and like, this is really healthy in terms of food, but are you doing the right things for
right.
your body to digest, for your body to rest, and also for your, I would say the holistic aspect of being healthy? Are you
Right.
taking into consideration your thoughts? Are you taking into consideration the people who are around, and are they toxic, or are they supporting you? Are
Yeah,
they a
yeah,
source of like joy, or are they a source of issues, problems, struggles that you keep coming every day, and every day? And that becomes a problem. That becomes a sickness.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I call that the principle of right association.
Mhm.
And those negative thoughts that are haunting us, uh, God, whose voice is it up there? Ask you whose voice, because it's really not your voice. It's very much also the way we were conditioned in life, always to perform, always pushed into our left brain model of focusing and concentrating and doing your best. And I always ask people, what is really driving you? What's driving you? And I keep coming back to, are you spiritually fluent? Because there are seasons when to plant your seeds, when to harvest, when to step back and rest. It's so important. I
Yeah.
had just a quick story because I think that's really interesting. The the owner of the European health clubs, they changed it now. It used to be the American Health Club. He was an American who won, I think, middleweight champion lifting. And with that money, he opened in Italy, in Rome, the first American health clubs. Beautiful spas. At already an early age, I must have been around 14. I was working out there because I had won a membership. And his daughter was in my class as well at school. Anyway, years later, and I had trained there, so I knew the father well. I come back there and I see him and he walks up to me. He goes, Robert, it's so wonderful to see you. This guy's a total health advocate. The best, he says to me, Robert, I have the best medical doctors. I have the best dietists. I have the best equipments. I have the best nutritionists. You know, I've got everything to stay healthy and I am dying of cancer. Tell me why.
Mhm.
you know I mean, that was just amazing right there, and it's just supporting what you're saying. It's just not about knowing, but it's also the deeper layers where you have to
Exactly.
bring everything into conjunction with each other to support a complete holistic lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem of our modern society because even in terms of education, we've not been educated to wellness. We've not been educated to listening to ourselves, to listening to our body signals, and like being able to know when something is going wrong, you know? And so we keep pushing. We know that something is kind of weird, strange, but let's move on, let's continue, let's keep pushing, performance, performance. And that's how people get burnt out, and that's how people get sick. And I wish that the educational system could really change for real, like giving the young people the tools to have a joyful life and a healthy life. And it's not about subjects, it's about being able to have emotional intelligence. It's about knowing what to eat for your health, not just what to eat in terms of calorie, because this is what we are seeing everywhere. We're talking about weight and we are talking about calories, calorie deficit and all that stuff, but we never mention. And sometimes we start when we talk about holistic nutrition, of course, but otherwise when we talk about sports nutrition, it's just about calories, and people, they get confused. They believe that nutrition is all about, you know, counting calories and
Right.
just being careful about the quantity of food, when it's really about the value of your actions, the value of your food. And, you know, even the way you think about what you eat plays a huge role in like how it's going to be absorbed by your body.
Right. Yeah, correct. And what are your energy levels as well? At
Hmm.
some point, I got really, really sick. I mean, really sick, and it lasted for quite a while. And every time I felt good again, I just started eating the way I was used to eating. And then I get sick again.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
realized what it was after going through these cycles of getting better and then getting sick all the time. My body did not want any more meat.
Hmm.
And every time oh, I'm healthy again, and I just started eating the way I was always eating, and my body would immediately reject it. Isn't that amazing? So it's
Yeah.
also about learning how to listen to our bodies as well.
Yeah, and I see it when with the people I coach, because sometimes they start a holistic coaching with me, but they don't really want to look at everything. Sometimes they just want to speak about food, nutrition, physical activity. And what I do is that I try to meet them where they are, but also, you know, try to plant the seeds that
Right,
it's not just about nutrition. Otherwise, we would all be healthy, I would say, because we all know in a way, you know, that we need to eat more veggies, we need to have like more water, hydration, and not going into eating junk food every day. We know it, but at some point, it's a matter of self-awareness. And so you don't know what you don't know. So you need to have someone guiding you and like planting the seeds. Even if
right.
you're not ready right now to understand everything, just doing one step ahead is a good way to start, I guess.
So are you also advising the people you meet and your clients to detox as well?
Depending on the situation, it happens sometimes, yeah. But I'm really careful about educating my clients that detoxification is not for everyone, and it depends at which stage of your
Right,
health and life you are, because
right,
people believe because of magazine and social media that detox is something generic, universal, and that it's just about green juicing and, you know, or just taking some supplements and then you're completely detoxified. But to me, detoxification again is holistic. It's about, you know, taking a step back and looking at your environment, looking at the pollution, looking at the endocrine disruptors, looking at your sleep, looking at everything. And sometimes when you lack vitality and energy, it's not the right time for detoxification. So it's really something that needs to be fully personalized and analyzed before doing anything.
yeah.
Um, yeah, first step is just understanding where you are and where you
Yeah.
want to
Well, yeah, well said. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. We can't always put everybody in the same bucket. You have to figure out where they are and what they need.
go.
So it's very personalized, as you're saying.
Yeah, health it should be personalized anyway. We believe, for example, medication. People believe they can take one generic medication for pre-diabetes, for high cholesterol, and it's gonna change their life for the better. When in fact it's about, looking at the root cause again. What is happening inside from the inside? What is the reason your cholesterol is high? Because maybe it's from a nutritional, deficiency, or it can be because of inflammation, but sometimes it's also about your emotions.
It's interesting. While we're talking here, my head's going, I think I have a good way we can work together. Hmm. Like landscaping some scenarios in which we could complement each other in like a live in-person, retreat. That would be wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah,
come
yeah,
on.
definitely. This is something I would really enjoy because we've got a lot of like I just decided when I started, this whole journey of holistic nutrition and health and navigating my life in a different way, going into yoga teaching, training, that I would try to help at least one person a day. This is my mission. So it's about even giving one tip a day or trying to help someone understand why is not healthy as he would love to be, or what is going wrong. Or it's not just about consultation, but just, reaching out to someone to help in a way or another one. And I think that's every everyone's unique skill needs to be like complemented by someone else. It's
Yeah,
so important to be aware that what you're bringing to the table is valuable, but it's better if you can do this with someone else
yeah,
always.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Agreed. So, um, yeah, what are you enthusiastic about now, today, in the present moment? What's keeping you busy?
What's keeping me busy is working with like more people abroad. And I really enjoy it because for me, it's not just like helping people who are not living in France. It's about understanding their lifestyle, understanding their culture, understanding where they want to go. And I think it's completely different from one country to another. So it's a really enriching experience. Every time I work with someone from another country, it's just like, wow, it's an amazing experience because it's like, once again, learning about each other and growing together. Because, as a coach, we are not like above. We are just like bringing the tools on the same level, and like it's a exchange of energy, it's an exchange of tools, and it's about, being together in the experience and helping people going their way one step at a time. For me, it's just that coaching is like a whole experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have to see in what degrees they are committed to the process.
Oh,
They
yeah.
follow you until I had this one client, they'll follow you until, no, no, you're not going to take away my coffee. You know, no, 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 I'm not going to do this or that, and then they disappear. But then they always come back and, yeah, you were right, you were right. I think I should have this or should have that.
Mhm.
But yeah, every time, they reach another level, again, you have to check out in yeah, seeing it to what degree they are really committed to the process of change. Because
Yeah.
I also think if you change one thing, you actually have to change everything. And
Mhm.
maybe I'm wrong, but I really feel if you change one thing, because if that one thing is founded on patterns and your emotional negative signatures of the past, things that you haven't dealt with in the past, then if you change that, I think everything has to change actually, because you're changing that fundamental negative thing
Yeah,
that has
absolutely.
dictated your life.
What I like telling my clients is that, it's a question of becoming someone else.
Right.
Because you cannot change and stay the same at the same time. You have to make a decision. And if you decide to become a healthier version of yourself in a very holistic way, then you cannot still go into junk food and do physical activity. You cannot smoke and at the same time, do meditation and breath work. It's not just like it's not working. So you need to become another person, a better version of you at your own pace. Of course, it's okay, but it's about changing the patterns, and I completely agree with what you're saying.
Right. So I have another great example, which is on another level. I had a client that's telling me, "Oh, my mother's always treating me like a child." I was like, "Well, who's the one that's coming into the house? If you're
Uh-huh.
still walking in there like a child and still need mommy to tell you off or put you down or give you advice, walk in there as a woman." And I always say, I, regarding myself, I am always in the process of becoming.
Yes.
Always. As we are speaking, I'm learning things and I'm, you know, getting to know myself better through your eyes and looking at where my limitations are. I'm always, and the words you utter is always forming a new you. I mean, every day is a new day. Why are we so fixed on remaining the same old person that we were?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I always start like the process of coaching for me is all about, mind first. So I don't want to speak to anyone about nutrition unless they are ready to take some kind of self-awareness, asking themselves questions, even the basic questions, but why am I doing this? Why am I like
Uh,
looking for junk food? Why am I so stressed? Because if you don't have self-awareness or you're just like trying to find excuses for what you're not doing, then you cannot be coached by anyone. You need to take responsibility for your life, and then someone can help you. I've seen some people coming to me for coaching, and I was not able to coach them because they were not coachable, because they didn't want to look inside. They didn't want to do the things that needs to be done, like just taking a step back,
right,
being aware of their, like, what's happening, why am I here, what's been going wrong, and why do I have these patterns. And it's not about going really deep down from the start, but it's just about acknowledging that it's going to be a work that is going to be done as a team, and not
right,
me,
right,
just not me doing the work, because it's you who needs to do the work, and I'm here to guide you and to help and to support. So some people, sometimes they are not ready, and so they are blaming everyone else around them.
right.
It's because of their family, it's because of their friends, it's because of the husband. So,
Or, or have you, I'm sure you've had that experience where they'll even argue with you
oh yeah.
so that they'll defend their point of view. And they always get, well, they often get angry at me at first because once they figure out that I'm coming from a place of love, then they usually accept what I'm saying. But the first reaction is actually to defend their point of view. And I'm like, well, listen, why are you here? Why did you come to me? Well, I can only offer you another point of view. I'm not saying I'm right, but whatever you've been doing until now isn't working. So why don't you try something new? Try something new, you
Yeah,
know?
and you need to be open to change. This is
Yeah,
part of the
yeah,
contract, I would say. The coaching contract is all about being open to change and to listening. Then you can agree or not, it's okay, totally fine. But first, just make sure you're listening very carefully, and you're taking the viewpoint into consideration because, as you said, if it's not been working for you, then maybe it's time to try something different.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I had
Yeah.
one client, he was 82, and he would do everything without questioning. He would do everything that I would suggest. I'm not advising, I'm just suggesting. And he would call me in a very short period and say, you're right, it works. It's exactly the way. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, yesterday you told me, and I did exactly what you suggested. And it was wonderful. And he actually became a breath worker as well. At his age, all my clients were calling him up when I was in Italy because he was living in Holland. And they would go to his house for sessions with him. And that was just so remarkable. But and he was assisting in my live trainings as well. And if people would like start trying to argue with me, I didn't have to do anything. I could sit back and he'd start screaming at them. He's like, why don't you just shut up and listen to what Robert has to say? You might be able to learn something new. It was like magnificent. I was like, wow, this guy's really amazing, really amazing. But it's true. Try it. If it doesn't work, well, drop it. But try it.
Yeah, and if you're coming to coaching from a place of learning and growth, then it's going to change everything. But if you're coming and you're like, you know everything, you're not going to learn. And I think and that's still one of my qualities. Like I've been a perfectionist. I'm now much less of a perfectionist, but
I
still,
was going to ask you.
of course, of course, they're still a part of me. So sometimes, now I can take a step back and not this time.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But of course, it's still inside of me, but not, it's not like the part that is going to win over me now. Like, I
Right,
know when it's the ego talking, I know when it's something that is going to be, it's not helping me. And so I'm not listening to this part of me who is like, just do something better, just go on and push, push, push. I'm not pushing. No, 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 it's not working. I've been sick once. I'm not going there second time.
right, right,
But again, it's a question of being aware of your patterns. And so when you can grow, and you practice because life is a practice and life is learning. It's all about you fail sometimes. I'm too much of a perfectionist and I'm like, oh, I can see the pattern again.
right, right.
Not
And
going
it's and just because something doesn't work out the way you want does not mean that you are the failure.
there. Mhm.
That maybe something better and greater is coming your way, and that this is just not meant to be. And sometimes, well, the way I see it, there is a higher intelligence working, you know, in the backdrop. So everything works for my greater good. And if I just trust that process, then I don't have to worry that much.
Yeah, I just saw a quote today, this morning. It's supposedly a Japanese quote, which says that, all the doors that don't open are doors that are not supposed to open for you. So that's a blessing.
Right, right,
And I truly believe in this. I truly believe that, it's just about being where you need to be, and it's like, trusting the timing of your life, letting go, and not trying to force things into existence because it's meant to be. And
right,
it's like I've been sick, and I think it's been part of like a life lesson. It helped me grow as a person. It helped me understand a lot about nutrition and health that help people. But we some people can say, no, it's been bad, it's been a negative experience, but I don't want to listen to that because for me, failure and everything that happens to you is to help you grow and
exactly.
make things in a different way. So
I
you
call those I call those obstacles, but obstacles are not there to thwart you or make your life more difficult. It's just to help you find a way to circumvent that obstacle because behind the obstacle is the insight.
yeah,
It's like that's where the knowledge is. So we just have to give it more energy and more effort to go beyond that obstacle. And once you understand that it's all about just lessons learned, you learn to navigate these obstacles with such ease. And
Yeah.
I'm like, instead of resisting, I'm like, well, come on, head on. I'll take on whatever, spirit or God, or call it what you want,
Mhm.
has to offer me, because it's only a learning experience.
Exactly, exactly. And it's, it changes your life when you're able to see that,
Right,
you know that life is going to be tough and that is going to be okay. So you're ready for it.
right, right. That's wonderful.
Surfing the waves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that is pretty much so. While you say that, I think of the condor because of its weight and wingspan. It actually can't really fly, but it's flying because it's flying on the hot air currents, in the air. So why are we always trying to swim upstream?
Mhm.
We need to go with the flow,
Yeah.
go more with the flow.
And I love thinking about something that to me has been really helpful is every time something doesn't go the way I want it to go, I try to let go, of course, but I try to remember every time something like this happened to me before. And, the capacity of letting go brought every time a great result.
Right.
Like sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. But there's always something positive happening out of this every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Absolutely true. And it is in those moments when I am thrown or catapulted into the unknown,
Yeah.
that's where the biggest growth
Mm.
lies. Every single time when I was faced with the unknown and with all my fears, it's not like I wasn't, like I was fearless, but with all my fears, I had no other choice but to move forward. But then the unknown showed, its beautiful, magnificent, flowering, you know, gift, actually, when we can just let go and trust the unknown. Uh,
And I don't know about you, but I think I really learned to love it. First time you're like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I'm foolish. I'm stupid. And then second time, it's like, yeah, not sure about it, but okay. And third time is like, okay, let's go.
yeah, yeah,
We'll see.
yeah, yeah. And I bring that also to a very practical level. I love being in a new country and not speaking the language and just getting on a bus
Oh
and
yeah.
letting the bus take me wherever. I don't know. I don't even look on a map to see where it's going to take me, you know?
It's
So that kind of unknown is sort of the same thing. You're really putting yourself in a situation where you're just going to have to go with the flow.
Yeah, and actually this is just a mirror of life, whatever we're doing, we don't know anyway.
Yeah, well, true,
We
true.
we are trying our best, but we don't know because it's not we are not in control. We're not in control. We can take like we are in control of our emotions or decisions, but the timing of the universe.
Right. Well, we learn to start controlling our emotions because,
Yeah.
uh, before you haven't done the inner work, our emotions are just like emotional yo-yos,
Roller coaster.
Somebody says, "Oh, you're such a wonderful person," and you're all the way up in the sky, feeling really great about yourself. And then if somebody comes along and says, "God, you're such an idiot," and you feel terrible, and you feel, depressed, and you're angry, you
Yeah,
know.
it's
So it
just
is,
that,
it is
I
about inner work, right?
yeah, I think the difference between a person and a coach is that we have experience and we've
Right,
been
right.
really like willing to learn and to like go and like take it all the
Yeah,
experiences, the good and the bad, and we learn.
yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So I've got one more question before we end our conversation.
Oh.
One of many conversations we're going to have. But so what will you be doing in the near future? What are you looking forward to? Do you have any plans?
Actually, I love like being in the present moment. It's not easy, but I love to do that because I've been the kind of person again who's been like anticipating way too like in 2 months, in 2 years, into whatever. And I don't have any control on that. So my project for now is just giving my best every day. So like focusing on the next 15 minutes and being very present and enjoying like every second, because when you've been sick you understand how valuable every second is. And it's really a chance for me because then you see life in a very much different way, and
Yeah,
you understand that life is much more valuable than buying things, and that it's about being not really doing but also being something that I didn't know how to do it when I was young. So today I'm really like grateful about the simple things, just being here, taking a healthy snack, maybe in 20 minutes from now, or just like going out for 10 minutes and having a walk before going back to work. And I would say that something that I really enjoy thinking about is my next travel, because, I enjoy meeting people from all around the world. So,
there you go. Beautiful.
yeah, I
Yeah,
want to travel as much as possible.
yeah, wonderful. Well, if you go to Italy, let me know. I've got
Yeah,
lots of contacts there and the States and whatnot. Yeah. But
but
I'm very much in the same place as well, I never used to plan, never. And it does have some disadvantages because, people are planning ahead, and when you have these major events, okay, now I put them on the calendar. I have to put them on the calendar, and then we'll see if they come to fruition or not. But those major events, but for the rest, I really, just like you, try to just focus on right now, what needs to be done now, and to follow through in that what I feel needs to be done now, and not wait. Those are like signals. Instead of,
Mhm.
oh yeah, okay, I still have to do that. When I have that impulse, I do it immediately and not wait, oh, I still have to do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And I think even if you have dreams, it doesn't mean that we don't have dreams, but dreams are all about what you're doing now and
Yeah,
who you are being now as well, because it's a question, for me at least, it's a question of your energy and not being in the resistance. So whatever you're looking for, whatever you're wishing, it's all about, not just doing things, because if you're doing without any presence, then you're
yeah,
just wasting your time and your energy.
yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, really, really great. Do you have a last word that you would like to offer your
Yeah,
guests, my guests?
yeah. My best advice to anyone listening today is just like whatever you're into, just have no regrets. To me, it's about having no regrets. So it's just about trying. If you really want to do something, just try it. And if it works, excellent. If it doesn't work, you're learning, you're failing, and failing is part of the process. So this is my best advice to anyone. And you will never have any regret if you do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, beautifully said. Would you have made any different decisions in your life with what you know now?
I think it was part of the process. So I no, I won't change anything, because I think if I change one thing, it can change everything. And I'm happy with just being where I am now, like a person who can help people and guide people, and I don't want to risk that.
Right, right. Wonderful. Anissa, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much for
Robert.
this conversation. I am going to leave her information so you can get a hold of her. And make sure you do, because again, we can't do it alone. And when it comes to our health and her holistic approach, it's like really commendable. So I'm going to be asking you more questions, health related questions, uh, once we're offline. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.